Welcome to Treasury Talk, a podcast featuring timely tips and information for Michigan taxpayers, hosted by State Treasurer Rachael Eubanks. Listen for takeaways from our subject matter experts that will support you, your family, and your business.
Welcome back to Treasury Talk, the podcast where we break down the Michigan Department of Treasury policies and programs that impact Michiganders. I'm your host, State Treasurer Rachael Eubanks. Today, we're talking about something that affects nearly every Michigan household, the 2026 individual income tax filing season. By the end of this episode, you'll know how to file electronically, avoid delays, understand tax credits and other benefits, and protect yourself from scams this season. Joining me is Sarah Rusnell, who leads Treasury's outreach efforts to explain how all of this works. We'll cover what's new this year, how to avoid common mistakes, and tips to get your refund faster. So Sarah, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Treasurer. It's great to be here.
You are one of our most frequent guests on this podcast, so it's wonderful to have you back. And you've done a wonderful job of informing and educating us about the latest developments related to our taxes. So backing up a little bit, can you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself? What do you do at the Michigan Department of Treasury?
Sure. So I am the manager of outreach situated in our Office of Communications. My background in tax actually started when I was working my way through college, go green, by working third-party collections for the state. And so after I graduated, I came stateside to Treasury and worked my way through tax contact centers into tax legal areas, and then got the opportunity to develop a web platform, Michigan Treasury Online. And that opened the door to use my communication degree to help inform our taxpayers and educate them on important tax topics.
And that makes perfect sense. I mean, the way that you're able to talk about tax issues with so much familiarity and ability to connect with so many different types of taxpayers, I think you're in a perfect position for what you're doing. So thank you for all of your work. So let's start with the basics. What is the individual income tax filing season? When does the filing season open? And what is the deadline?
So our filing season mirrors the federal filing season. So it opened on January 26th, and the deadline for filing is April 15th. Taxpayers can file online for free. They can use tax preparation software, or they can mail in a paper form. But if you want that refund the fastest, direct deposit and e-file are definitely the way to go.
A little foreshadowing there on the taxpayers being able to file online for free this year, so we'll come back to that. But what documents should people have ready before they file?
You definitely want to make sure you have all of your income records. So the W-2s and 1099s are very important to have before you sit down to file your tax return. You don't want to use your year-end pay stub or an accumulation of all your pay stubs. You really want to wait for those W-2s and 1099s to be issued to you because it can help avoid errors on your returns, which will cost you money when you have to amend that later. And it will also cost you a lot of time in getting that refund in your pocket. So take the time you need, gather all those important documents before you file.
What's one surprising question taxpayers ask every year?
Honestly, a lot of the questions surround those W-2s and 1099s, and a lot of people rush to file before having those forms. So it's really important to make sure that we have those forms to ensure that the return is accurate. Another question that comes up with some regularity is, where's my refund? Treasury has a new web platform called Michigan Treasury eServices where taxpayers can go to look up the status of their refund. But I want to note that even if you're e-filing, it can take a couple of days for that return to hit our system and start processing. It's not instantaneous when you hit file or submit. So give it a couple of days, especially on those, mailed returns, allow up to 8 weeks. If you are e-filing, give it a couple weeks before you check our systems. But again, e-filing will get it done the fastest.
And we all know everyone's very anxious to get those refunds. I think that's a good expectation setter there, Sarah.
Absolutely.
So let's change gears a little bit and talk about what's new in this upcoming year, that 2026 year. So there's a big change with Michigan Treasury eServices. You mentioned that a couple of times. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. We've consolidated our Michigan individual income tax web offerings under one platform, and that modern system is called Michigan Treasury eServices. You can do a lot through that web platform now with checking your refund status, making a payment if you need to, responding to a letter, and for the first time, you can directly file your state tax return with Treasury for free. So it just adds another option, it's another tool in your tool belt to get that state return into us.
Did you say that they can e-file for free, Sarah?
Yes, you can use our web platform, Michigan Treasury eServices, to file your state tax individual income tax return for free.
And thank you for reiterating that.
Yeah.
That's actually, when I'm out talking with people, that was one of the first things I used to get asked about. So I was very happy to see that functionality added to the system, and I'm sure you are too, being out there and talking with taxpayers. And that new system has a lot of functionality that, we weren't accustomed to having. And I think having seen the system working, seeing the documentation, how much that speeds up the interaction with our staff, I'm very, very excited about that taxpayers will have that tool available for them. So let's talk a little bit about the My Login piece, the secure piece that was added as part of this new, the new eServices that we have. How does one go about creating that new account?
Sure. So the Michigan Treasury eServices really have 3 different levels of access. There's a lot you can do with the guest services, like check your refund or respond to a letter. But to take full advantage of the web offering, you want to log into the system and connect to your tax account here at Treasury. And there are some security measures in place to make sure that we can protect your tax data. So My Login is a statewide network that a lot of different state departments use for their online sign-in services that allows our Michiganders and other people who are needing to interact with state government here in Michigan the ability to have one username and password for all of our state systems. So we're working more and more toward that every day, and the Michigan Treasury eServices falls right into that. So if you already have a My Login account, great, you can use that. If you don't, you can set one up. And that gives you the ability to file that tax return. The third level of access is using your previous tax account information and demonstrating that you are who you say you are to gain access to your tax account information. So if you need to verify that Treasury received your estimated payments, or maybe you need to amend a return, you can do that through our system by taking that extra step.
And I know that the multi-factor authentication is sort of the gold standard for security nowadays and ensuring that people are who they say they are. So I know that's a new thing, but we think that's essential for protecting taxpayer information. When we think about switching from the one software system to another, how do we think about that from a taxpayer perspective?
We certainly understand that changing software systems or accommodating upgraded security protocols can be a pain point, especially when there's a lot of change happening in the environment. But don't worry, we're here to support you with that. Our team is working to stand up some help center content for the Michigan Treasury eServices that will give you step-by-step guides that walk you right through the process of using Michigan Treasury eServices, no matter what level of access you'd like to achieve.
And what is the difference going to be if you e-file your taxes through software? Will you notice any difference? Will the taxpayer notice any difference?
Probably not, because the thing that you might come to Treasury for is to check the status of that refund, and you can do that through the Michigan Treasury eServices without logging in at all. You just have to go to the platform and check where's my refund, have a copy of your tax return ready so that you can provide information from it so that we can give you some information back.
Excellent. So what other top tips do you have for taxpayers this season?
Well, definitely you want to file electronically, whether that's through your software provider that you're comfortable with, or you want to test out or try Treasury's direct file through Michigan Treasury eServices. Electronically filing is going to get that return into us the fastest, get it processed the fastest, and get that refund to you the fastest. On the refund side, if you choose direct deposit, we can get that refund out to you as soon as it's available very quickly. In addition, we want you to make sure that you engage the services that are available to you if you need help or support filing your tax return. Whether that's a CPA or a local bookkeeper, make sure that you choose a qualified tax professional to take a look at what's available to you, to take a look at those tax credits that may be available to you, or make sure that you've got everything that you need to maximize your refund this season. If cost is a barrier, make sure you check out free resources like VITA or AARP Tax Aid. You can also go to michiganfreetaxhelp.org, especially for our seniors and our low to moderate income folks or our non-English speakers. Those are great resources for you to make sure that you understand the tax obligations and understand the benefits that are out there for you. And of course, beware of scams. Treasury is often made aware that there are scams in the environment. We try to be very diligent about making folks aware of that on our website, but trust your gut on that. If you get a suspicious message, make sure that you're verifying that through official channels. Just know that Treasury never asks you to send money via a gift card or cryptocurrency, and we never ask you for that sort of information by text.
Those are all fantastic tips. And you touched on something which is really important is the importance of filing to receive benefits at the state level. And there's been a lot of changes to, the income tax code over the last couple of years, which have resulted in additional benefits for Michiganders. But to get those, you have to file, right? So what should filers be alert for this year when they file their tax returns?
So there's a few credits on the table that I'm always happy to remind folks about. And you're right. Filing at the state level, even if you're not required to, is so important to take advantage of those benefits. Even if you know that you don't owe or you know that you're not required to file, you could still get a refund. So those credits that I want to highlight are the Michigan Earned Income Tax Credit. It's for working families with low to moderate income, and it's up to 30% of the same federal credit, so the credit of the same name at the federal level. So it's really important that taxpayers take advantage of that. If they qualify federally, you qualify at the state level. And we gave out a lot of money on this last tax season. So for the 2025 filing season, we issued an average of $890 to approximately 665,000 recipients. That's big money, and it's on the table for you. For our seniors, our retirement tax rollback is continuing. This is a 4-year phase-in of a law that really dismantles the tiered retirement tax and tax structure that was previously put in place in 2012. So definitely consult with a qualified tax professional who can help weigh the different options for the taxation of your retirement and pension benefits this year to maximize your subtraction. The homestead property tax credit is for qualified Michigan homeowners and renters that pays some of the property taxes that you've been billed. And new for this year is the organ donation tax credit. So Michigan taxpayers who have donated a living organ may claim a one-time non-refundable income tax credit of up to $10,000. So check that one out if you're in that boat. That's also a really great benefit that you can take advantage of this year.
More great tips, Sarah. Thank you so much. So changing gears into, some of the frequently asked questions we get, some scam awareness. We know the first question that lights up our call centers is, where's my refund? Refund timing. What should taxpayers expect?
Well, most e-filed returns that have direct deposit are going to be processed within a few weeks. We ask that you give us that couple of weeks after you submit that e-filed return to get it through our system and get that refund out the door. We want you to be aware that we receive millions of returns this time of year, especially right at the beginning of tax season. Everyone rushes. But take your time, give us a little bit of time. We are prioritizing getting that refund to you. Our call centers and our Treasury staff members work hard to ensure that you can receive your refund as fast as is practical. If you do file that paper return, it takes a little bit more time to get everything processed because we have to receive it first and then get it into our system and then manually process that return. So we ask that you allow 8 weeks for those to be sent to you. And of course, whether you electronically file or mail in a return after those, recommended timeframes, feel free to check the refund status at Michigan Treasury eServices.
we know that not everyone is perfect. Sometimes we make mistakes. So what happens when someone completes their return and they've made a mistake? They realize they've made a mistake.
Yeah. So if you realize you made an error, you'll need to file an amended return. The faster you can get that amended return into us, the faster we can turn that around and process it. But the best thing to do is to avoid making a mistake in the first place. So I'll emphasize here, I always say, double check and don't rush. April 15th is still a little ways away. So take the time between now and President's Day to collect your documents, evaluate your situation, get tax preparation help if you need it, and decide on a way to electronically file that return. If you rush to do it right away, before you have all of your documents or before you've got everything really gathered, that can lead to that need to amend later. Or if you put it off, if you rush to file right before the deadline, that can lead to the same problems and then a delay in your refund. So we understand that mistakes happen. Nobody's perfect, but just know if there is a mistake, you need to amend and get that into us as soon as possible. And now you can amend for free on Michigan Treasury eServices.
Excellent. All right. So going back to scams just quickly, what should people be watching out for? What are some telltale signs that they're hearing from a scammer and not from us at Treasury?
Yeah, if you get a suspicious call or an email or a text claiming to be from Treasury, listen to your gut. We don't want you to click any links or share any personal information through those channels. Report it and verify it through michigan.gov/income tax. You can give us a call and ask, did you send this to me? Or you can use Michigan Treasury eServices to look at letters that Treasury has sent you. Letters through the mail are still our gold standard of communicating with you. So another important thing to look out for is that Treasury will never threaten you in a letter or a phone call or a communication. We're not going to arrest you or demand payment by means that are not typical. So gift cards, cryptocurrency, we don't do those things. So those are things to look out for. And when in doubt, always contact us to verify.
Yeah, we know the scammers like to create urgency, right?
Yes.
And so we that's not how we approach these communications. I think it's a good thing for people to keep in mind. So in closing, you've given us a lot of tips today. What would be your top tips for Michigan taxpayers?
Start gathering your documents early. Wait for all of your W-2s and 1099s to come in. Get the tax preparation help you need. Use e-file. And take advantage of the tools and resources that we've built to make filing easier and safer for you. And remember, our team is here to help if you have any questions.
Sarah, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing these important updates. To our listeners, visit michigan.gov/income tax for everything you need to file your return, check your refund, and access free help. Have questions about Michigan's tax system? Email us at treasuryoutreach@michigan.gov. We might answer them in a future episode. Please note we can't answer your tax question through this email. If you need to contact us directly, reach out via Michigan Treasury eServices or call us at 517-636-4486. Until next time, thank you for listening to Treasury Talk.